It is estimated that currently there are some 60 million people who have been forced to leave their homes due to some sort of conflict and fear from persecution. This hits a record high number of over the past 70 years. The conflicts in the Middle East, particularly Syria and in Africa, continue to force even more people into displacement, and numbers are increasing daily. And for Montenegro, according to the government figures, there are some 16,500 persons displaced from former Yugoslavia living in Montenegro. The majority of them are from territories of former Yugoslavia and have been there for almost 2 decades. In addition to that, in the past years, Montenegro has started receiving large number of asylum seekers who escaped from the conflict in the Middle East and some African countries. According to UNHCR's report in 2014, Montenegro was placed at the top of the European countries in terms of asylum seekers per capita, which says a lot about the refugee trends at the moment. Most of these people, they come from Syria, who set on an extremely demanding journey to Europe. And often they come on foot from Greece through Albania to the Montenegrin border. And once they're in Montenegro, they are provided accommodation, food, and basic needs in the asylum center that was opened in Spuj last year. And in general, they stay there for a very short period of time, and as they continue to their journey in the EU member countries. UNHCR works together with the government of Montenegro in ensuring the basic rights for ex-Yugoslavian refugees through the status of foreigner and reform of the legislation. In this attempt, particular attention is of course given to Roma Egyptians who fled from Kosovo, like the ones living in the camps of Konik, which face various challenges to integrate in Montenegro due to their vulnerability. And sometimes when there is a high influx of asylum seekers, their reception and treatment could be challenging when their numbers exceed the reception capacities in the country. We all remember Montenegro took large number of refugees from the former Yugoslavia, regardless of their ethnic, religious background, political preferences, and they should be credited for that. The government makes continuous efforts to end this almost 2-decade-long displacement. The first step is the possibility for refugees to acquire the status of foreigner with the permanent or temporary residence, which gives them access to basic rights. Also, Montenegro takes part in the regional housing program, which is aimed at finding durable solutions for the most vulnerable refugees from the former Yugoslavia and who is currently living in inadequate conditions. This project is underway and is expected to provide housing for some 6,000 refugees from the region and help them rebuild their lives. And I must say that the Ministry of Social Welfare, Labor and Social Welfare, has taken an initiative on this, and they have really given it a boost in the recent couple of months, and the project is progressing very nicely. UNHCR works very closely with the government of Montenegro and assists the government in providing protection to asylum seekers and refugees, finding them long-term solutions to their problems. Our organization strives to ensure that they have an option to return voluntarily to their home countries once the conditions allow it, or to integrate locally. UNHCR also assists the government in strengthening Montenegro's national asylum system and in reducing and preventing the incidence of statelessness. That is a situation of not having any nationality or citizenship of any country. We are currently following up on the process of granting status of foreigner with permanent or temporary residence to refugees from the former Yugoslavia. Also, we, together with the government and our NGO partners like the Red Cross, the Legal Center, HELP, organize go and see visits to Kosovo, so that these people can see what the situation is like there, and that they can make a decision on whether they want to return. In addition, we assist the government in responding in the required way to the needs of people fleeing the war-affected areas in the Middle East and Africa, who come to Montenegro to seek asylum. And finally, UNHCR has recently launched a campaign named I Belong, which is aimed at ending statelessness in the world in the next decade. Through this campaign, UNHCR seeks to ensure that everyone has a right to citizenship. As people who are not nationals of any country, they lack rights, the basic rights, such as the right to reside, medical care, legal employment, and education. UNHCR commemorates the World Refugee Day on 20th of June every year. On this occasion, let me stress that we must never forget that refugees are people, just like any of us, and need to be treated just as we all would like to be treated.